So today I want to talk about mindful eating. And in my own journey with mindful eating, there have been two things that I work with that have made a big difference in my life. And the first one that I want to talk about is numbing, aka using food to numb my feelings. So when I'm feeling tired or grumpy, or if I'm feeling sad or anxious, reaching for a snack in the pantry to help me feel better. And what I've noticed is that the snack helps me to feel better while I'm eating it, but then afterwards, sometimes I actually feel even worse. And this is because the snack wasn't actually helping to address the underlying problem. It was just covering it up for a few minutes, and then it came back. And something I really resonated with in Brene Brown's podcast, she talks about sometimes eating Oreos to numb her feelings. And she's talking about how there's never enough Oreos to actually help. You could keep eating box after box after box of Oreos, and it's never enough. And she said this quote that really, really stuck with me. She said, "I can't get enough of what I don't need. I can't get enough of what I don't need." So I've been working with that. And another thing that really resonated with me from Glennon Doyle's podcast, she talks about when we're having tough emotions, there's kind of two different buttons that we can hit. One of them she calls the easy button, which is numbing. For example, numbing with food like we're talking about, or numbing with drugs or alcohol, or even Netflix or video games could be a form of numbing. And the other option that she gives, the other button, is the reset button. So this could be something like going for a walk, doing a 5-minute meditation, maybe doing some yoga poses. So doing something to help you reset. So for me, this translated into reaching into my self-care toolkit instead of reaching for the pantry. And the second thing that I want to talk about today in terms of mindful eating is noticing rushing. So when I'm rushing through my food. And this usually happens when I'm trying to eat in between meetings, or I don't have a regularly scheduled time to eat my food. And I've noticed that the food is kind of there, and then it's gone, and I don't even remember eating it. And what I've learned through my own studies around the science behind mindfulness is that when we're stressed out and kind of rushing through the food, our body is in this mode called fight or flight, activating the sympathetic nervous system. And if you think about it in kind of ancient evolutionary terms, this is when our bodies were trying to run away from a tiger. And when we're trying to run away from a tiger, our body prioritizes certain systems. For example, it prioritizes getting blood flow to the legs and to the arms so that you can run away, getting blood flow to the heart so it can keep pumping. And it deprioritizes certain other systems, like the digestive system. So if I'm trying to eat in between meetings and I'm super stressed out, it actually means that my digestive system is kind of offline and deprioritized. So what I've started to do is actually pausing before I eat and taking 3 mindful breaths to kind of get out of that fight or flight mode and come back into that rest and digest mode. That's the parasympathetic nervous system. So bringing my digestive system back online so that I'm well set up to take in that nourishment and really process all that food that I'm eating. So you can check this out in your own life. You can try taking 3 mindful breaths. If there's some other practice that resonates with you, you could actually take a moment to smell the food and really appreciate the smell of the food. You can take a look at the food and really notice all the colors. You could try doing a gratitude practice before the meal. You could even try doing some chanting, like checking in what feels good in your own practice, but noticing what you can do to just take a moment to pause and come out of that fight or flight mode and come into rest and digest, come into that present moment and set yourself up to actually be digesting that nourishment. So if any of this resonated with you, here are 2 challenges to try for this next week. Number 1, notice when you're reaching for food to numb an emotion and try reaching for your self-care toolkit instead of the pantry. Or Number 2, try slowing down for a moment before each meal. Take 3 mindful breaths and see how it changes your experience. Thanks for watching. And if you want another tool for your self-care toolkit that you can use instead of a snack to help yourself feel better, please check out my 5-minute guided meditation called Breathing into Stillness.